Stop the thought loop, start living peacefully. In the stillness of late nights, when every sound outside has faded away, many people still toss and turn amidst countless thoughts. The body lies motionless, yet the mind races restlessly. Dark scenarios that have never happened play out endlessly like a film. Every detail of fear is woven by imagination, making the heart beat faster and the breath turn shallow. In just a moment, one has already lived through dozens of unreal stories, only to end up exhausted, without even knowing why. An anxious mind, this is one of the heaviest burdens modern humans carry. We worry about the future, about loss, about insufficiency, about failure, about being judged. Some worries arise from reality, but most are products of the mind, shadows we ourselves create. Paradoxically, the more we try to control everything, the more we want things to bend to our will, the greater our unease becomes. Buddhist philosophy and many Eastern wisdom traditions remind us, anxiety does not lie in circumstances but in how we face our own minds. To step out of the darkness of anxiety, we don't need to change the whole world, we only need to learn how to transform ourselves. This journey can be seen as 8 stages, 8 practices, 8 doors that open to a more peaceful and profound life. Understanding the nature of worry. Calming the mind through the breath. Simplifying life to reduce mental burdens. The power of the present moment. Transforming anxiety into trust. Living mindfully in everyday life. Letting go for inner freedom. Returning to oneself. 1. Understanding the nature of worry. Perhaps all of us have experienced being trapped within our own minds. Sudden thoughts appear, anxiety about the future, regrets about the past, or grim scenarios that never came true. The human mind is like a boundless river, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent. We often mistake ourselves for our thoughts. If our mind is filled with fear, we think we are weak. If our mind is filled with anger, we think we are hot-tempered. If our mind is consumed by worry, we think we are inherently anxious. But in truth, as Buddhist teachings say, we are not our thoughts. Imagine a vast blue sky. Thoughts are like clouds drifting across it. Some are light and gentle, others heavy and stormy. Yet no matter what form they take, they eventually pass. The sky remains intact, spacious, and unharmed. Our true mind is that sky, still, expansive, and unshaken by the passing clouds of thought. The problem is, instead of watching the clouds, we mistake ourselves for them. A worried thought arises, and we immediately say, I am worried. An angry feeling arises, and we identify, I am angry. This way of speaking enslaves us to thoughts. We don't just experience emotions, we let them define us. In reality, instead of saying I am worried, we can say, I notice there is worry in my mind. This subtle change in language creates space, a gap between the observer and the thought being observed. That gap is vital. When we realize we are merely observing a thought rather than living entirely within it, we gain freedom. This freedom allows us not to believe every thought the mind produces. After all, not every thought is true, right, or useful. The mind can create brilliant solutions, but it can also paint distorted, pessimistic scenarios that make us suffer. If we identify with every thought, it is like letting a mischievous child steer the course of our life. So how do we truly live as the observer? The answer lies in mindfulness practice. When a thought arises, instead of reacting immediately, pause, take a deep breath, and silently say, this is only a thought. You can picture it as a leaf drifting along a stream. You see it, you acknowledge its presence, but you don't need to pick it up or hold onto it. It will float away on its own. This practice requires patience, because the mind's habit is to cling to everything it creates. Yet day by day, you will begin to feel a difference, less tension, less being swept away by the current of thoughts, and most importantly, the ability to choose your response rather than reacting unconsciously. When you become the observer, you step out of the endless whirlpool of thoughts. You begin to see clearly, worry is just worry, anger is just anger, they are not me. In that moment, you reclaim a part of your lost freedom, the freedom to live lightly, peacefully, amid life's many changes. 2. Calming the mind through the breath. Amid the rush of daily life, the breath is often forgotten. We breathe every moment, yet how often are we truly aware of it? In times of stress, anxiety, or restlessness, the breath becomes shallow, hurried, and tight. Few notice that breath, something so ordinary, is in fact the key to peace and stillness of mind. In Buddhist teachings, the breath is the bridge between body and mind, between the present and endless restlessness. When the mind is restless, filled with racing thoughts, it's hard to simply stop thinking. But if we return to the breath, the mind naturally calms, like a lake stilled by the absence of wind. Try sitting in a quiet place, closing your eyes, and bringing your awareness to your breath. Inhale slowly through your nose, feel the cool air filling your chest, then exhale gently through your mouth, letting tension flow away. Just a few cycles of this can ease the body, steady the heartbeat, and quiet the mind. A simple yet effective technique is the 4-count breath. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, then pause for 4 before repeating. Focusing fully on this rhythm gives the mind an anchor, keeping it from running wild. The breath is the most loyal companion we often forget. In life's hardest moments, before a big decision, in the face of loss, or when feeling powerless, the breath is always there, whispering, "Come back." Just one deep breath is enough to draw yourself out of anxiety spiral and into the present. Body and mind influence one another. When anxious, the body tenses, the heart races, the breath shortens. But the reverse is also true. When we deliberately relax the body and slow the breath, the mind naturally settles. Adjusting the breath is like sending a message to the mind, "Be still." In busy life, we may not always have time for meditation, but the breath is always available. On a bus, during a lunch break, or even in the middle of a heated conversation, one conscious deep breath creates a small space between you and emotional impulses. That space is enough to keep you calm and clear, rather than reactive. Through consistent practice, you realize peace doesn't come from outside, but from every breath. Each inhale is a chance to receive life, each exhale, a chance to release burdens. Living with awareness of breath is living with awareness of life itself. And soon, you find the mind less easily carried away by worry and distress. The breath becomes your refuge, your anchor in life's stormy sea. In that calmness, you discover something priceless, the ability to live fully in the present moment, unbound by past or future. 3. Simplifying life to reduce mental burdens. Modern life, with its relentless pace and countless choices, often overwhelms us. Each day, from waking to sleeping, the mind handles hundreds of pieces of information and makes dozens of decisions, from trivial ones like "what should I eat?" to major ones like "where is my life going?" The weight of this overload leaves us weary and tense, often without knowing why. Buddhist philosophy teaches that suffering arises because we hold on to too much, too many desires, too many concerns, too many expectations. A busy mind stretched by unnecessary things becomes even more burdened. Liberation begins with simplification, simplifying thoughts, lifestyle, and perception. Simplifying does not mean deprivation, but removing the unnecessary to preserve the essential. Like decluttering a crowded room, clearing away excess reveals openness and light. The mind is the same. When freed from needless worries and attachments, it becomes lighter and more spacious. Look at your daily schedule. How many tasks are done out of habit, fear of judgment, or fear of missing out? How many worries stem from comparison or expectation? Cutting away what is non-essential leaves time and energy for what truly matters: health, family, friendship, and inner peace. Simplification is also the art of saying no. Many burn out by taking on too much, trying to please everyone. Yet the more we chase, the farther we drift from ourselves. By saying no to what doesn't matter, we say yes to what does. Mental simplification is just as vital. Instead of letting the mind spin endless what-ifs, focus on what's right before you. Instead of worrying about 10 problems, solve one at a time. Like climbing a mountain, step steadily, and you'll reach the peak. Simplifying also means reconnecting with nature and the simple. A modest meal, a quiet walk under trees, or a few minutes of birdsong can soothe the soul in ways luxury cannot. By returning to the simple, we restore balance within. Most importantly, simplification reveals true happiness, not in owning more, but in letting go of excess. With a lighter mind, we create space to listen, to love, and to be present. Ultimately, simplification is a journey back to sufficiency. Life doesn't require much to be peaceful, only gratitude for what is, less clutter, and a clear, light mind. Then each day becomes not a struggle, but a meaningful, serene experience. 4. The power of the present moment. If we look closely, most of our suffering doesn't come from the present moment but from the past and the future. We regret mistakes already made or worry about what has yet to come. The mind is pulled in two directions, like a rope stretched taut. In this tension, we lose the greatest gift of all, the present moment. The present is the only place life truly happens. The past is memory, the future imagination, but the present is real. Every breath we take, every step we make, unfolds here and now. Without living fully in it, we spend life chasing illusions, only to realize later we missed it all. Buddhism teaches that suffering can only be healed in the present. Here, we reconnect with ourselves and the truth of life. Anchored in the now, Worries about the future dissolve, regrets about the past lighten. Like standing on a riverbank, no longer swept away by the current. Living the present isn't lofty, it begins with small acts. When eating, really eat, taste the food, feel its nourishment. When walking, really walk, feel each step touch the ground. When listening, truly listen, without rushing to reply, without the mind wandering elsewhere. These simple acts build stillness and joy. Living the present also frees us from society's pressures. Too often, we live as borrowed selves, borrowing images from social media, expectations from others, chasing after them. In that chase, we lose the ability to enjoy now. Only by returning to the present can we see, we don't need to be anyone else, prove anything, simply being is enough. Once you taste the power of now, you realize happiness is not a distant goal. It doesn't wait in a bigger house, better job, or brighter future. It's here, in a calm breath, a loving glance, a quiet morning. Happiness isn't about achievement but about recognizing beauty in the moment. The present also gives strength against storms. When life shakes, you're not swept away in panic, you pause, breathe, and observe. In the present, you always have a steady ground, yourself. From there, you find wisdom to face, patience to endure, and courage to move forward. The power of the present is the power of freedom. Anchored here, we are no longer bound by what was or haunted by what may be. We live fully, freely, and abundantly. Life becomes not a burden, but a gentle flow, one we can savor, drop by drop. 5. Transforming anxiety into trust. Anxiety is like a shadow that never leaves. It appears when we fear what hasn't yet happened, when we see the future as threat and ourselves as incapable. Often it doesn't come from reality but from imagination, where worst-case scenarios are magnified. If unchecked, it drains joy, making each day heavy and bleak. Buddhism shows that anxiety arises from attachment and lack of trust. We worry because we want control, we fear because we reject impermanence. Yet life is ever-changing, impossible to hold. The more we resist, the more we suffer, the more we cling, the greater the anxiety. Freedom doesn't lie in eliminating uncertainty, which is impossible, but in transforming worry into trust. Trust doesn't mean passivity. It's mindful letting go, knowing we've done our best, leaving the rest to life's flow. With trust, the future is no longer a threat, but an unfolding journey full of chances to grow. One simple practice is shifting the inner question. Instead of asking, "What if everything goes wrong?" ask, "What if things go better than I expect?" This shift opens space for positivity, letting hope replace fear. Trust also arises from realizing we're not alone. We have family, friends, and even the universe walking with us. Difficulties don't come to destroy us, but to strengthen us. Trust in karma and life's fairness brings resilience. Often anxiety comes from over-control. We want guarantees, zero risk. Yet many of life's turning points, a love, an opportunity, a profound lesson, arrive unexpectedly, unplanned. Why not relax, let life lead, and trust that whatever comes has meaning? Transforming anxiety into trust is a journey of the heart. With an open heart, we meet life with softness, not rigidity. We know uncertainty remains, yet we can go on. Trust is like a small light in the night, guiding us through worry's maze. Ultimately, trusting life means trusting ourselves. Believing we're strong, wise, and patient enough to endure. In this trust, anxiety no longer weighs us down but becomes material for growth, helping us live lighter, freer lives. 6. Living mindfully in everyday life. When people think of mindfulness, they often imagine monks meditating in distant mountains, far from noisy cities. But mindfulness isn't confined to temples or meditation halls. It can live in every small act of daily life. Living mindfully is living with full presence. Not doing anything new, but doing the usual with a new attitude. When washing dishes, truly wash, feel the water, the coolness on your hands, the sound of clinking bowls. When eating, truly eat, savor the taste, aware each grain of rice carries earth, sky, and countless efforts. When walking, truly walk, feel each step, your heartbeat, your breath. Mindfulness in daily life frees us from half living when body is here but mind wanders past or future. This split exhausts us. But with presence, life becomes vivid, each moment with its own beauty. It also reveals what we've missed. A quiet morning tea, unhurried, reveals fragrance and peace in every breath. A mindful conversation uncovers not just words, but hidden feelings and truths. These enrich life with depth and connection. Mindful living is medicine for anxiety and stress. When thoughts spiral, pause, breathe deeply, and observe. Mindfulness doesn't chase thoughts away, it recognizes them. And once recognized, they fade, like clouds drifting from a blue sky. Mindfulness is not a destination but a journey. Sometimes we forget, the mind runs off again. But simply noticing and returning is already mindfulness. Each return plants another seed of peace in the soul. It requires no special conditions, only readiness. Even amid busyness, moments always exist to return to oneself, a deep breath, a pause, a quiet glance. These small pieces form a life whole, full, and serene. Ultimately, mindfulness turns the ordinary extraordinary. With presence, life stops being repetitive and becomes discovery. Each day, each moment offers something new, a chance to live deeper, know oneself better, and love life more. 7. Letting go for inner freedom. Letting go is perhaps the most difficult yet liberating lesson in life. Our minds are often like hands that refuse to unclench, clutching at every thought, every memory, every wound. We fear that if we loosen our grip, we will lose something important, our identity, our worth, our security. And yet, in reality, the opposite is true. The tighter we cling, the more we suffer. Inner freedom arises not from accumulation, but from release. When you hold on too tightly to the past, you become a prisoner of memories. Old hurts replay endlessly, and old mistakes whisper that you are still defined by them. But the past is not a chain meant to bind you, it is a river that has already flowed. No matter how much you struggle, you cannot step into the same water twice. To live truly, you must let the river flow on and return your gaze to the present shore. Letting go also means releasing the illusions of control we impose on the future. Much of our anxiety comes from a desperate attempt to dictate how life should unfold. We make plans, we construct expectations, and when life does not obey, we feel betrayed. But life was never a contract promising to bend to our will. It is a dance, sometimes gentle, sometimes wild, and the more rigid we become, the more painful the steps. To let go is to accept that uncertainty is the nature of existence, and that trust is stronger than control. This does not mean resignation or passivity. Letting go is not about giving up, it is about opening up. It is the choice to release what you cannot hold, so your hands are free to embrace what truly matters. Like a tree shedding its leaves in autumn, letting go creates space for renewal. If the tree clung desperately to every dying leaf, spring could never come. Likewise, when you release your burdens, your heart becomes fertile ground for peace, love, and creativity. At the deepest level, letting go is about loosening the grip of the ego, the voice that insists, "This is mine. This is me. This must not change." The ego fears loss because it believes it is nothing without its attachments. But your true self is not fragile. It does not depend on possessions, recognition, or even the approval of others. Your true self is like the sky, vast, unshaken, untouched by passing clouds. The clouds may gather, darken, and disperse, but the sky remains. When you let go, you return to the spaciousness within. Sometimes letting go requires forgiveness. Not because others always deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Holding on to anger or resentment is like carrying burning coals in your bare hands, waiting for the chance to throw them. But you are the one who gets burned. Forgiveness is not approval of what was wrong, it is the decision to stop letting the wrong define your spirit. It is the quiet act of placing the coals down and walking free. Other times, letting go means releasing self-judgment. Many people carry the weight of should have and could have, as if guilt were a form of redemption. But punishing yourself does not heal the past, it only robs the present. To let go is to recognize that you are human, flawed, learning, evolving, and that growth often requires falling. The seed must break before the plant can emerge. Letting go is not something that happens once. It is a practice, a daily unfolding. Every morning, you have the chance to release yesterday's disappointments. Every evening, you can set down tomorrow's worries. Each breath can be an act of letting go, exhaling what you no longer need, inhaling the fresh air of renewal. And in that space of release, you discover the paradox of freedom. By letting go, you gain everything. You gain peace of mind, clarity of heart, and a life no longer defined by fear. You discover that freedom was never about holding more, it was about needing less. You realize that your worth does not come from what you cling to, but from the vast, luminous awareness that remains when you let everything else fall away. To let go is to return to yourself, unburdened, unchained, whole. 8. Returning to the true self. After all the struggles with worry, all the attempts to control, all the lessons of letting go, there comes a gentle return, a return to what was always here, your true self. Beneath the layers of fear, ambition, attachment, and distraction lies a presence that has never been lost. The journey of healing and awakening is not about becoming someone new, but about uncovering who you have always been. The true self is not the restless chatter of the mind or the endless stream of emotions. Those are waves on the surface. Your true self is the depth of the ocean, still, vast, immeasurable. To return to it is to rediscover the peace that does not depend on circumstances, the joy that does not come from possessions, and the freedom that no one can take away. We often believe that happiness is something external, waiting for us in achievements, relationships, or recognition. Yet the more we chase, the more elusive it becomes. It is like running after the horizon. The closer you think you get, the farther it stretches. But when you stop running and turn inward, you realize the horizon has always surrounded you. True happiness is not in grasping but in being, not in reaching but in resting within yourself. Returning to the self also means rediscovering authenticity. Many of us wear masks to fit in, to be liked, to be accepted. We play roles assigned by family, society, or culture, and over time, we forget the face beneath the mask. But masks are heavy. They exhaust the soul. The moment you set them down, you breathe freely again. To be authentic is not to be perfect, but to be real. It is to live aligned with your values, your heart, your inner truth. This return requires stillness. In silence, the noise of the world fades, and the subtle voice of your inner being can finally be heard. In solitude, you discover that you are never truly alone, for the self within is always with you. Meditation, mindful breathing, walking in nature, these are not just practices, but doorways back to yourself. Every time you pause and listen inwardly, you step closer to the home you never left. At the same time, returning to yourself does not mean withdrawing from life. On the contrary, it allows you to engage more fully. When you live from your true self, you are no longer trapped by fear or ego. You can love without clinging, act without anxiety, and give without expecting. Life becomes less about performing and more about participating, less about proving and more about being present. The world outside may remain chaotic, uncertain, even painful. But when you are anchored in yourself, you carry a calm center wherever you go. Like a lotus rising above muddy water, you remain unstained, yet you do not reject the water that nourishes your growth. You can walk through storms and still carry sunlight within. Returning to the true self is, ultimately, the greatest freedom. It is the liberation from the endless chase for validation, from the grip of worry, from the illusion that you are incomplete. It is the recognition that you already are whole, that peace, love, and wisdom are not distant goals, but your very nature. And when you live from this place, life itself transforms. Every ordinary moment, drinking tea, listening to the rain, holding someone's hand, becomes luminous. You no longer need extraordinary experiences to feel alive, because aliveness is already within you. This is the gift of returning, the simple, radiant joy of being yourself. In the end, the path of letting go, of trust, of presence, leads here, to the home of your own heart. Nothing was missing. Nothing needed to be added. You only needed to return.
Thank you for watching until the end of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to watch more interesting videos.